but we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, you guys? Welcome to the live stream. Boom. Oh, yeah. Look at that view. Look at that clean desk. Oh, my God. So good. What's this? What's this? Oh, wouldn't you like to know? What's this? Oh, my God. Wouldn't you like to know? Oh, that's the good stuff. FPV ASMR. Woot. Welcome to live stream, you guys. Boom. God, what the fuck? Oh my God. Did you get any of that? You didn't. Oh my God. So sad. What did I press when I unmuted myself? Oh, I switched the scene. Okay. Here, let's do it again. Oh, hey you guys. Welcome back to the live stream. Oh my God. Can't believe it. Oh, that was such a good opening, too. What are you going to do? Well, let's just do it the normal way. Welcome to the live stream, you guys. You know who I am. I'm going to be answering your questions. I'll do that part again. Oh. Mr. Eddie Nunez in the Discord. I'm not going to show you the letter just in case it contains any personal information. I guess it doesn't. Yeah, I'm not going to show it because it may contain... There's a guy, he got a letter from his police department saying he has a warrant against him, and he has to show up tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. and pay a $700 bond, or turn himself in and go before the judge. And he suspects that his neighbors did this because they don't like that he's flying his drone. The warrant is for harassment or conduct that repeatedly causes alarm or seriously annoys another. First of all, that's a law. Harassment or conduct that repeatedly you know what causes me alarm? When I'm peacefully flying my drone and you hassle me. Pay a $700 bond. Eddie? No, not Eddie. Let's see. Mad Props in the Discord. Dude, trust me. Stop. Hire a lawyer right now. Right now, hire a lawyer. No one on the internet can tell you what to do right now. You need to hire a lawyer. And it sucks. It sucks because you're going to spend... Like, do you ever get out of hiring a lawyer for less than like $1,000? I don't know. But you need to stop right now because this could get very bad and you need a defense. You need a defense. You need a lawyer. And in fact, bro, Mad Props, I will personally contribute to your legal defense fund. Just, we'll talk about it. DM me. You need a lawyer right now. Tuesday at 10 a.m. That's tomorrow morning. I mean, they say you need to get down there and pay a bond, or you need to turn yourself in. Here's the thing. Do not let that deadline pass. Because as soon as you let that... I mean, I am not a lawyer, but I knew a guy once who had a traffic ticket that he thought he took care of, and it turns out the court didn't think he took care of it, and he got an arrest warrant, and the cops just came and got him, and it was very unpleasant. So seriously, number one, don't let that deadline pass. You have to go down there and show up. I hope you're able to scrounge $700 for your bond. But dude, you need a lawyer. You need a lawyer. Anyway, that really sucks. That really sucks. So that's tomorrow. Like, you're telling me they gave you less than 24 hours. Turn yourself in on Tuesday before 10 a.m. They don't even say which Tuesday. 4/29. Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on. The letter is dated 4/29. When is Tuesday? When is Tuesday? Something doesn't add up here. Why does it say turn yourself in before Tuesday? Why is there no date there? I don't know. If it was 4/29, when was that? Oh, that was Thursday. Okay. So you've had this since Thursday? You needed to have hired a lawyer like 3 days ago. All right. That sucks. And he just posted this in the Discord, and so I wanted to address it as, you just, there's a moment in your life, like, if you get a speeding ticket, it's just go to, whatever. But as soon as anything remotely out of the ordinary legal starts happening to you, stop, get a lawyer. It sucks that you have to pay for your own defense. And you're going to be, your stupid neighbors are now going to cost you $500 for a lawyer, whatever, $1,000 for a lawyer. That's done. It's already happened. You just need to bite that bullet because this could get a lot worse, right? And what if they say, this is a misdemeanor and you have to do 30 days in jail? Like, I don't know if that's even realistic. But more importantly, you can't let those stupid jerk neighbors win. This is garbage. This is garbage. Huff19 says, call the courthouse to verify if it's a real summons. Good point. Maybe his neighbors are playing a joke on him. All right. Well, we're not going to spend the whole live stream talking about that. Verify that it's real and then take it very seriously. Look what I built today. I ruined a 533 switchback by putting red electrical tape on it. Screw you, haters. Oh, build video going up on my channel this week. 533 switchback. I still need to 3D print the antenna holder for the Ghost. 533 switchback with a Ghost hybrid in it and a Redux Air 32-bit ESC. I'm taking racing seriously this season. I'm taking racing seriously. Abraham, he has had interactions with law enforcement before. Abraham says probably a fake letter. He has talked to cops before. Cops have come out on the neighbor, according to him. Cops have come out on the neighbor's complaints. He's talked to them. They've been like, you're fine, whatever. So this is why it's out of the blue that he suddenly got a summons. But he has had contact before. Joseph Sutton. Joseph Sutton, are you talking about the same guy I'm talking about? Joseph Sutton says, I don't trust that dude. He's been on YouTube before hurting for money. Ooh. You think maybe he's Joseph, are you talking about the same guy? Mad Props? I mean, who's Mad Props? Joseph Sutton says he is talking about Mad Props. You think he's are you implying that the letter is not legit and he's maybe trying to scam money? Joseph Sutton says. He says, all right. Well, that's why I'm not going to give the information out. I will personally decide whether I feel like donating to him or not. I'm not going to promote anything because I don't want to put other people in a position of giving money on my name. But anyway, regardless of if this specific case is true or not, if you end up in a situation like that, you should get a lawyer. You need a lawyer. Anyway. Welcome to the live stream, you guys. Here's what we're going to be doing. This is you here in the YouTube chat. You're going to be asking questions. I'm going to be answering the questions. Some of them. I'm going to be answering some of the questions. Many of the questions. I mean, I guess you could look up the warrant number. The warrant is probably public record, right? You could look up the warrant number and see if it's legit. I'm not going to do that on stream, though. Mad Props says, you got me confused with somebody else. I've never asked for a dime on the internet. All right, Mad Props. We'll talk about it later. It's not a big deal. I'll be answering your questions. If you want to make sure I notice your question, hit that $ right there. Leave a super chat. No super chats yet. You could still be the first super chat of this stream. In fact, it's probably going to pop up right now. And ZFPV, summons is not jailed. No, that's true. But if it sounds to me from the letter like if he doesn't show up with $700 in his pocket, then they're going to potentially put him in jail. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. Oh, and these gorgeous people over here are my patrons over on my Discord server. Max Whalen. Great question, Max. We'll get to that. If you want to join, oh, thank you for the White Claw, Mr. Eddie Nunes. If you want to join these beautiful people, join my Patreon. You can invite to the Discord server. You can hang out with these lovely, lovely people. 7% more attractive. Did you know that? Scientifically proven. Joining my Discord server makes you 7% more attractive to, unfortunately, all sexes. So if that's not what you're into, maybe think twice. 7%. It's a fact. Okay. Let's get that question from Max Whalen, and we'll kick off this live stream. Max Whalen says, I'm having a little trouble with the Xylo budget build frame, and I was thinking of switching frames. Which ones do you think would be good? There's a zillion great frames you could pick. Some of them are on my website, fpvknowitall.com. One of my favorite frames right now is the QAV-S. Xylo also has... no, the Freestyle is the one that you've got. Depends a lot on your budget, Max. Premium frames like the Impulse RC Apex, really any 5-inch frame could be good. I just did a roundup of lightweight Freestyle frames. Best lightweight Freestyle frame. I'll put a link to that in the video video description, in the chat, and in the Discord. You can certainly check that out. It's got some suggestions for frames that you might like. There we go. How many capacitors are too many? Asks Experimental FPV. You really can't I mean, eventually it just gets unwieldy, the amount of weight you've got. And eventually you hit a point of diminishing returns. But you clearly can't have too many capacitors. You can have enough. And then after that, adding more doesn't really hurt, but it doesn't really help either. I think about 1,000 to 2,000 microfarads of capacitance, and more than that is probably overkill. If you put 1,000 to 2,000 microfarads of capacitance on your build, and you still have like messy video, something else is wrong. Like, don't add more capacitance. See what I'm getting at? Okay. I'm glad to see Nick Sebring, Bubby FPV in the chat. Yeah, buddy. Jake Blake says, would you suggest flashing Express LRS onto Immersion RC Ghost? Have you ever tried it? Jake, one thing about Express LRS and Immersion RC Ghost is once you flash it, you can't go back. It's not possible to go back. Am I centered up? I think I am. Unlike with R9, where if you flash it, you can flash back to R9 if you want to. I don't know why you would want to, but if you did, you could. Ghost is a one-way flash. So if you're interested in 2.4 gigahertz Express LRS, I would just buy the Happy Model equipment. Happy Model makes 2.4 gigahertz modules and receivers, and you can just buy those. Rather than taking a one-way street and over. What if you decide, oh, it's not for me. I want to go back to Ghost. Now you're screwed. The Happy Model equipment is not too expensive, and that's what I think I would do. Max Whalen asks, do you think the Vanover CL1 would be good with the setup? Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, Jesus. Oh, that was a great decision. You know, sometimes you're at the store and you think, that's... Why would... Oh, my mouse is almost dead. You think, why would I spend that much on a bottle of liquor? Yeah, I could buy the cheap stuff. And then you're like, you know what? I'm worth it. When's my ultimate freestyle build coming out? Patrick Sharp asks. I'm going to answer your question, Patrick. I've been talking about my updated ultimate freestyle build for an embarrassingly long time. See, way back when, I knew every part I wanted to put on that build, except I was waiting for my new JBF7 flight controller to come out. And it took a while. And by the time it came out, then there was a problem with the motors. But it's here. It's nearly here. I have all the parts ready to go. And I'm just waiting for the QAVS JB Edition frame to come out. And then we'll be ready to go. For real. I promise. And when is that frame going to come out? Well, I can't tell you. I can tell you that as of a couple of weeks ago, it was sent to manufacturing. I can also tell you that at the end of May, FPV Crate is doing a Bardwell sponsored box. Not sponsored, but a Bardwell themed FPV Crate box. By the way, if you're interested in that, you don't even have to subscribe. FPV Crate is doing loot crates right. Not loot crates. They're doing subscription crates right. You don't even have to subscribe. You can subscribe, but you can also just buy a one-off box. Now, I can't tell you. I don't want to ruin the surprise of what's going to be in this box. Because, I mean, I know what's going to be in the box. And I said, can I tell people what's going to be in the box? And they said, no, it's a subscription box. People don't want to know what's going to be in the box. They want a surprise. That's the point. And I was like, okay. So I'm not going to tell you what's going to be in the box. But I can tell you that my JB QAVS frame got sent to manufacturing a couple weeks ago. And that the FPV crate box is going to be a Bardwell themed box. So. Let's get some super chats out of the way. We got a bunch of super chats coming in. James Sherrow, thank you for the first super chat of the live stream at $5. Durzo FPV, thanks for $2. You're not first, Durzo. Durzo says first. Patrick Sharp, thanks for $1. X6 Raptor Claw 85 X6 is looking for, thank you for $5. Raptor Claw, looking for the smallest whoop with DJI that is decent since there are a few. How's the Tron 80? Let's look at the Tron 80. T-Motor Tron 80. How is the Tron 80? I mean, now, first of all, no. Stay away from the Tron 80. I don't give a damn. They just need to be punished for this terrible decision. What the dickens is going on here with this motor? I have not flown this. I watched Albert Kim's review of it, though. And he said there were tons of vibration or jello problems. And he speculated that maybe it's because they put the frickin' props. Look at this. What are you doing? If you wanted to increase vibration, this would be how to do it. No, do not buy the Tron 80. Do not. This is a terrible idea. I don't know why they did it. They shouldn't have done it. And no one should buy this quad until they fix this problem. So. Nick Sebring, you do a lot of micros, right? Have you flown this one? Jesus, I haven't flown it, but Albert Kim was like, this is what's going on here. And I was like, yeah, Albert, you're right. Nick Burns really liked the Iflight A75 HD. A 75 millimeter with DJI in it? Gosh. So here's my thing about this. If you were going to buy this, wouldn't you rather buy one with a naked vista? Is there a version of this with a naked vista in it? Because that would save you 12 grams. And cost you basically nothing. Nevertheless, if Nick Burns liked this one, then I guess it's probably pretty good. I'm so skeptical about the 75 millimeter. 75 millimeter with a, I don't know. I'm so skeptical about that. It's so heavy. A85 HD. I mean, I would lean more towards the A85. I would lean more towards the A85 just because I feel, I mean, now you're getting further from the whoop category. Nick Sebring, according to Albert Kim, that is actually how the prop is installed. I don't want to misquote Albert. That's my recollection. You can see that if they push the prop all the way on, stop. Get rid of this. Go away. Oh my goodness. What the F? What the F? There we go. You can see, Nick, that if they push the prop on all the way, the prop would hit the guard. Duck My Squee says, my A85 HD is bad enough with ground effect inside, wind blown outside, use case very limited. The thing is, I don't think it's really possible to get an 85 millimeter with good flight characteristics and a Caddx Vista on it. I feel like you have to just give up too much. I think 95 millimeter is about the smallest you can go. The approximately 3-inch class. I take that back. I really liked the Transtech Beetle, which was a 2.5 inch with an air unit. But I didn't fly it with ducts on. So I guess you can get down to 2.5 inch, but I think it's pretty tricky. I think it's pretty difficult. So I would lean towards something like a 3-inch toothpick. That's not a whoop. I just don't think there is an actual good whoop, because that implies a size that DJI just can't really get down to. I haven't seen a great one that I thought I could really stand behind. Thinking P16. Somebody suggests Thinking P16. GepRC Thinking P16. Nick Burns reviewed it. What did he think? Yeah, so if I was gonna go for a DJI quad like the GepRC Rocket or the Rocket Lite, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. I don't know if you'd call it a whoop. I haven't flown the Thinking, but I like the Rocket Lite. I mean, like, it has limitations, but for what it wants to be... Oh, got the Nebula Nano on there. I got the Nebula Nano. Like, I would be happy to own something like this. I thought it was enjoyable to fly. It wasn't like super great for acro, but I didn't think it was too bad. So, yeah, that's the direction I would steer you. GepRC Phantom with prop guards. That's a good direction to go. Yeah. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's keep going. GepRC Synolog 25. 2.5 inch. Mike Bergman, I am familiar with the 3-inch Transtech Beetle. I wished I would have ever gotten to fly it. I cannot. A 3-inch Beetle with a Vista on it is like, I could not believe how well the 2.5 inch. Look at this. Hang on. It's my show. I can just. It's my show. I could just freaking put it up on the channel. Watch. Look at this. Hang on a second. Let me do the audio too. So this is, you guys know this kid?
It's all my fault. What happened, Alex?
Okay. Okay, so this is not what we were going for. Look at this thing. If you miss this... No. Oh my god. 2.5 inch props. Actual air unit. This was before the Vista existed. Look how it flies when Alex Vanover flies it. Okay, so Vanover's really good, right? Obviously, it's going to look like awesome. Don't worry about the video quality that's streaming at low bit rate, but check this out. As skeptical as I was that this thing is even worth a second look. And yes, I flew it, but also, as you could tell from the intro, Ladrib, Alex Vanover, and DRL pilot Nub, who apparently lives in Hendersonville, Tennessee. I did not know that. So many FPV people live in Tennessee. They came over to my house and were hanging out, and I gave Drew and Alex a chance to fly it. And that's what you're looking at now is Vanover flying the Transtech Beetle. And I feel like this is a little bit cheating because Vanover could make almost anything look good, but my God! Screw that guy. Could you guess he was flying a 2.5 inch quad carrying a freaking DJI Air unit? I was freaking amazed. So I'm going to let you finish watching Vanover's flight, which, yes, as you could tell, ends up in a tree. More about that later in the video. And then I'll let you watch Drib take a stab at it, and then we'll come back and we will take a closer look at it on the bench. Enjoy. Shut up. Punk. Oh my god. He's too good. Alright, well, we don't need to sit here for 15 minutes and watch the whole video, but it flew really freaking good. So I imagine that the 3-inch version of that is an absolute beast. That's my point. Freaking 1105s. Yeah. Insane. I don't know what they did, but they did a good job. But it's always out of stock. You can't get it. So, there you go. Moving on. Thank you for the question, Raptor Claw. Aerospace Inc. 53, thanks for $10. 11 days left till Rotorite Rampage. I will be at Rotorite Rampage. So if you're going, it's sold out now, so I don't know why I'm promoting it. But I will be there. And I'm looking forward to meeting you there. Yeah. Ghost Branch says, I told you that tree wanted a trippy spin. Yeah, from Vanover, maybe, not from me. He's good. He's good, though. Don McAdams, thanks for a $10 super chat. Thanks for all the great content. Michael Nichevsky, thanks for $8 Australian dollars. What are my thoughts on the Beta FPV SMO 4K camera? The Beta FPV SMO 4K camera. Let's put that up on the screen here. The SMO 4K is really awesome if you want a naked camera where you don't have to gut a GoPro. The image quality is not on the level of a GoPro. That's to be expected. If you're willing to accept some compromises in order to get this, image quality is acceptable. Maybe not for professional use. You'd want a real GoPro. But I think there's an audience for this camera. People who want an out-of-the-box naked camera. They don't want to rip apart a GoPro. And it's a polished experience. It's not just like, I don't have the screen. I need the screen. It's made to be what it is. You can look at the sample footage from people's reviews, and you can decide if the footage is up to your standards. There are people who look at the footage from the SMO 4K and go, oh, this is garbage. If that's where your standards are at, don't buy it. But I do think for a lot of people, this is a fine choice. If you're a professional, if you're trying to shoot commercials, you need a GoPro. I mean, you really want better than a GoPro, but it's just not an option at this weight class. Yeah, the specs on the SMO 4K are, there was a guy who hacked into the binaries on the SMO 4K and found that the specs that were not actually internally what they were advertised as. Bottom line is you look at the footage that comes out of it and you decide if it's good enough for you. You know? FPV Drone Man, thanks for a $2 super chat. How can I learn more in depth about PID tuning? You want to go to www.theuavtech.com. theuavtech.com. Mark Spatz is an expert at PID tuning and has a lot of educational material here. Free Lojo, thank you for a $2 super chat. Just subscribe to the box. Thank you very much, FPV Crate. Thanks you. T Jenga, thanks for a $10 super chat. Just took my last math final of med school prereqs. Ugh. And flying a few packs to relax. Thanks for everything. JB, I spread your knowledge with my local FPV community all the time. T Jenga, med school. Yikes. It's a lot of freaking work. Patrick Sharp, thanks for a $2 super chat. Ryzex, thank you for a $20 super chat. Ryzex, always very generous. Thank you, sir. Ryzex asks, I've been using a 50-volt 470 microfarad cap. I'm still getting some electrical noise with to the gyro. Is it worth it using a bigger cap? Would using a 35-volt 560 UF work, or should I use a 35-volt 1000 microfarad? So as the voltage of the capacitor goes down, the effective capacitance also goes down. That's what I've been told. So what that means is that if you're running at, let's say you're running at 25 volts and you buy a 35 microfarad 570 or a 35 volt 470 microfarad cap. If you're running close to that 35 volt rating, you're not actually going to get 470 microfarads of capacitance. You're going to get less. How much less? I don't know. Generally, the rule of thumb that I've heard is that you should derate a capacitor by 50% for like maximum longevity, but we seldom do that in FPV. So the question you could ask is, what is the equivalent capacitance value of a 35 volt and a 50 volt capacitor, assuming that your battery voltage is at around 25 volts? I don't know the answer to that. My gut feeling, and I could be wrong, is that a 35 volt 1000 microfarad is going to do better than a 50 volt 470. But I could be wrong, and really, you could just try it. You could just solder it up to find out. But if you're still getting electrical noise, adding another capacitor could help. Charles Garachti, thank you for 14 Canadian dollars. I'm not getting RxBat in my Crossfire telemetry. I deleted sensors and rediscovered no dice. RxBat is turned off in my receiver settings. I even tried a different UART. Are you getting any other telemetry sensors, Charles? I wonder if... So Crossfire has a whole bunch of sensors that are related to like RSSI and LQ, and those are sent directly from the receiver to the controller. Then there are sensors that come from the flight controller, and if you don't have your Crossfire wiring set up right, you're not going to get any of those. So I wonder if you're missing not just RxBat, but all your flight controller related sensors, and it means that you haven't got your telemetry set up right. Check your wiring. Obviously, TX and RX. Presumably you have control. So presumably you've got it wired up right. In the configuration tab, make sure that telemetry feature is enabled. That would cause that. Those are some thoughts. Chibi Kaiju is worried, wants to run Crossfire shot, but is hesitant to flash a nightly to my TX16S. Lots of people are running that Crossfire shot nightly. No one's reported any problems. I think it's as safe as it could reasonably be. Many, many people are running that Crossfire shot nightly. Any thoughts on how best to add a companion computer to Betaflight? What does that mean? Odroid. What's Odroid? The most cost 64-bit development. No. You want to add a companion computer. I guess the way to do that would be by using the MSP protocol. You can interface with the flight controller via MSP and basically do everything you could want it to do. So you would probably implement a serial link with MSP, Prescott. So you're going to want to look up the documentation for the MSP protocol, and then you would want to implement something that read and wrote MSP to the flight controller in your Raspberry Pi or whatever. Big FPV points out that if you flash the Express LRS nightly build that has Crossfire shot in it, it doesn't have the annoying nightly build warning. That is nice. Can anybody tell me? The Express LRS wiki, some of the links have been 404ing. Like, for example, the link that I have in my video to the Express LRS Lua script has been 404ing. Boom. Why is it 404ing? Somebody else said that they tried to download the version of OpenTX and it 404'd OpenTX nightlies. Oh, no, not that. I don't know why that Lua script is 404ing, but a lot of people are asking me about it. Lua's in the configurator now. Oh, damn it. Right when I make a tutorial, they change everything. Yeah, they're always changing things. What are you going to do? I should at least update the comments below that video to reflect the current state of things. And people said, why is Bardwell ignoring Express LRS? Why is he ignoring Express LRS? It took him so long to make content about Express LRS. Yeah, because as soon as if I had made content about Express LRS 6 months ago, how out of date would it be now? Like, I wanted to wait until it was at least, like, then they invented the configurator. You know, I want my tutorial to have a little bit of legs. So I don't have to redo it in like 3 days and have an out-of-date version of it. Let's see here. Can smart audio go bad on a VTX? Says Crazy Sam FPV. My Unify Pro quit talking to the flight controller. Crazy Sam, check the wiring would be the first thing I would do. Recheck the wiring. Also, make sure you didn't accidentally break it, like change something about the configuration without realizing it. Israel Castellan, thank you for a $10 super chat. How can I use a UART to start and stop recording on the SMO 4K? This was touched on in the Outlaw build from Rotor Riot, but it wasn't explained. Would the UART work like an on-off switch? Israel, you wouldn't use a UART. You would use the pin.io function. The pin.io function triggers the thing to start and stop recording by sort of flicking a switch. You can find tutorials. You can find tutorials for not Naked Vista, Naked GoPro. You can find tutorials to, let's see. Where's a good tutorial? Naked GoPro pin.io. Does Oscar Leung show it? Yeah. So Oscar shows how to do it. I'll give you a link to Oscar's video or Oscar's webpage about it. There's Oscar's webpage about it, and presumably the Insta360 is the same. I should tag him. There we go. Quad Mods FPV, thanks for $21 Canadian. Says, I appreciate all that you do. Do you think there's room for another FPV Workbench live stream show? Man, listen, don't worry about what content other people are making. Worry about what content you want to make. You want to make a live stream where you do Workbench stuff? Just do it. Just do it. Because you want to do it. Don't ask yourself, like, it would be really easy to say, I'm not going to make this content because other people are doing it. Like Bot Grinder, he streams. Oh, I guess I shouldn't do any live streams. No, because we're different people and we make different content. Ciati, he streams. We're different people, we make different content. Do you think anybody ever said, do you guys think there's room for another Call of Duty streamer? Or whatever the kids are playing these days. I want to be a Twitch streamer. Do you think there's room for me out there? No, you just go do it because you want to do it and because you like doing it. Maybe you find an audience, maybe you don't. But if your focus is on finding an audience, then don't do it, because the chances of you actually finding an audience are quite low. So you better do it because you like doing it and you want to do it, and then hopefully you'll figure out how to find an audience. So yeah, there's room, but don't worry about if there's room. Experimental FPV, thanks for a $5 super chat. 3D print polycarbonate prop. Timmy RC says 6-inch bi-blades are better than 5-inch tri-blades. Thoughts? Some say 5-inch props on a 6-inch frame is really good. I don't know jack about 3D printed props. Like, certainly, I know that 3D printed props exist, but it is not FDM process. It's like sintered laser, whatever. I've seen machines that make 3D printed props. I wonder if I should say who has it. I'm not going to say. This company has a room, and it's their secret room where all their development is. and there's a sign on the door that says authorized personnel only, and I was allowed to go into the room. But I feel like I probably shouldn't talk about anything that was in the room, even if it's something like there was a $50,000 3D printer that can print props in some exotic material. So I won't say who it was, but yeah, it exists, but it's not your freaking Ender 3. I just don't see how that could work. License to Drive says, I flew 3D printed TPU props yesterday. I still don't understand how that works, License to Drive, but I believe that you're doing it. I think the only reason the TPU props work is because they're not rigid. They don't, like, just blow themselves apart at 30,000 RPM. Regardless. 6-inch bi-blades better than 5-inch tri-blades. Define better. Define better. A larger prop is going to have different flight characteristics, different disc loading. A bi-blade and a tri-blade, they're going to fly different. I wouldn't take 6-inch bi-blades over 5-inch tri-blades for freestyle. They're going to be more efficient, for example, because they're a larger diameter and 2 blades more efficient than 3. Why is 5-inch props on a 6-inch frame so good? I've flown 5.5-inch props on a 6-inch frame, and I've flown 5-inch props on a 6-inch frame. And I think that wider wheelbase gives you more stability, while you still get the responsiveness of the 5-inch props. I'm not saying it's like the best, but there is something to it. Kush FPV, thank you for $5 Canadian. What's your take on the Armatan Marmot DJI? I really don't know a lot about it. I had a disagreement with the owner of Armatan some years ago, where both of us really lost our cool and took our argument to social media. And my policy is that if I can't keep my cool in a disagreement with somebody, better just leave them alone, you know? If there's somebody that makes you so angry that you just lose your cool and you do things that don't make you or them look good, then better just not hang around with them. At the end of that conversation, he politely requested that I not talk about his products anymore. At the beginning of the conversation, he requested that, and I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just talk about whatever I want to talk about. And then later I decided that I would honor that request, and I have. So I don't really have an opinion about it. My opinion of the Armatan Marmot DJI is that the owner of Armatan I can't really be around him because we don't get along well. And I mean, I can be around people I don't get along with. I'm not going to name names because that's just starting shit. Like, there are people you don't get along with, but then, like, you're in the same room and you're like, okay, we're just going to be cool. That didn't go that well. So. I decided to put my energy into positive things. Things that I wanted to promote, not things that I was... Anyway. So I appreciate the super chat. I wouldn't have normally talked about that, but I feel like you asked a super chat and I owed you an answer, so now you have it. Charles, oh no, we already got you there, buddy. Now UAV Tech says Armatan frames are resonance prone. Now Chris Rosser also demonstrated that both with black box and with his finite element analysis. The interesting thing about those frames is, although it is a documented fact that they are resonance prone, many people fly them without a problem and love them. So I think the takeaway there is that just because a frame has bad resonance characteristics doesn't necessarily mean it won't work for you. But given the choice, you're more likely to get good results from a frame that does have good resonance characteristics. Because you never know if the dice are going to come up snake eyes and you're going to have a problem. One of the things Chris Rosser has talked about is that the exact resonance characteristics depend a lot on the placement of the battery, the weight of the battery, all the other parts of the build. And that may explain why some people build some frames that are known to have resonance issues and don't have a problem. You may have just lucked out on the rest of your build. But if a frame is known to have resonance issues, every time you use that frame, you could be the one who ends up with a problem. So, anyway. Abraham, thank you for a $5 super chat. We need to pressure ExpressLRS devs to release a build for Crossfire hardware. It would be so worth it. If only to see Trappy's reaction. Oh, I'm sure the ExpressLRS devs are going to do what they do. I'm sure that if they did that if TBS wanted to, they could prevent it. I think you can lock out the ability to flash the chip. I don't know exactly how about that. Andrew Sibbald says, I just bought the Xylo JB drone. It arrives this Friday. Anything I should know before I get started building it? Andrew, there are updated wiring instructions for the camera, Andrew. It's on the product page. And there's supposed to also be a printed sheet that's coming with the kits. Although I'm not sure. I was like, hey, can we print this sheet? So it may not be in your box. But there are updated wiring diagram for the camera. Don't wire the camera the way my tutorial shows. In the video, I have a little thing that pops up that says, hey, do this differently. But some people miss it. And if you miss it, you'll fry the camera. Jake Blake, thank you for a $10 super chat. My videos have saved him hours of struggling. Airbender FPV says, what happened to the GoPro app for the iPhone? The app is gone from my phone, and I can't find it in the App Store. Airbender, I don't know about that. I don't have an iPhone. Can anybody out there with an iPhone say if the GoPro app disappeared? Seems extremely unlikely, doesn't it? Cadence on Quad says, any rumors or updates for Sharkbite? There are some rumors out there. One of the rumors, as Sharkbite, Fat Shark announced this. This isn't even really a rumor, but you may not have heard. They're going to be replacing the dual board 500 milliwatt transmitter with a single board 30 millimeter transmitter. That dual board video transmitter has an MMCX connecting it, and it can cause issues. So they're going to be moving to a single board 30 millimeter size, and that's nice. People are saying the GoPro app is now called Quick. Look for Quick. They've changed it. QUIK, I think. The other rumor, and this is truly a rumor, is that they're working on a 1 watt video transmitter. And I say this is truly a rumor because I know that Sharkbite struggled with heat dissipation problems to get the 500 milliwatt video transmitter working. So, I mean, I wouldn't hold my breath for when the 1 watt one's coming, but they are trying to get the output power up, which I hope that they do. I feel like right now, Sharkbite is better than Analog in image quality. I feel that it is. Some people disagree, but I feel that it's better. But the problem is that if I can have a 1 watt or 800 milliwatt Analog transmitter and a 500 milliwatt or 200 milliwatt Sharkbite, I think that the Analog image is going to look worse, but it's going to be there. And I might take that. But if there was a 1 watt or an 800 milliwatt Sharkbite, I think that it would be more definitively better than Analog. Airbender, I think you can control your cameras from Quick. Like, oh, phooey. Hang on. So here's Quick, right? Here's GoPro Quick. Sorry, my phone isn't focused, but okay. And then up here in the upper left, We hit cameras right there in the upper left, and boom, here's all my cameras. Yeah, so that upper, it's there. It's just here in the upper left, at least on Android it is. Quick dropped camera control. What are you talking about? No, it's right here. They dropped ProTune. That's true. Anyway. Mr. Eddie Nunez asks, why does my naked GoPro power off when I full throttle? I'm going to guess your voltage regulator is browning out. Ives, thank you. Wow. Oh my gosh. A $50 super chat. That's big. Ives, thank you for a $50 super chat. I just crashed a 5-inch with stock DJI air unit and goggles. When the drone hit the ground, the image froze and went to DJI logo. Yeah, okay. Air unit still connects to goggles, but it maxes at 10 meg and no image. Connection's all good. If you have no image, I don't know about the 10 megabit per second. Let's set that aside. If you have no image, then the camera or the camera wire got broken. Chances of the air unit breaking are very small. They're very durable. What I would do is I would reseat the camera wire cable. If that didn't do it, I would maybe buy a spare camera and a cable that goes with it. Or if you're hard up for money, which if you own DJI, you probably aren't, buy a spare camera cable and replace the camera cable. Then maybe it'll fix the 10 megabit per second problem. Maybe it won't. Worst case scenario is that replacing the camera and the camera cable doesn't fix it. Then it's probably the air unit. But again, the air unit is extremely durable. MotoRef FPV, thank you for a $5 super chat. My TX16S has a round port that is stated to be the simulator port. The cable wasn't included. Any advice to source the right cable to connect to PC for sim? MotoRef, you're overthinking this, dude. Just plug in the top USB port. Just get a USB cable. Plug in the top USB port with the radio powered on. A window will pop up on screen and it'll say mass storage or joystick. Choose joystick. Boom. You have a new, it's ready for sim. Jackalope FPV wants to know, Jackalope in the Discord, thank you for being a patron, Jackalope. How do I know when it's time to replace my capacitor on your Xylobuild? I don't ever replace my capacitors because, I mean, like, I guess in theory they might wear out and work less good, but I just leave them on there until they like break off and then I replace them, or eventually I just destroy the build and then I, retire the build. I don't ever like, I mean, if you have a capacitance meter, which lots of multimeters will be able to measure capacitance, it's not that exotic. If you had a capacitance meter, in theory, you could measure the capacitance of a brand new capacitor and then measure the capacitance of a used capacitor and see how much they've changed. But remember, you'll need to disconnect the used capacitor from the quad in order to get an accurate reading. I bet you find that it's not that different. That'd be an interesting idea for a video. Do capacitors wear out? It's kind of interesting. I should write that down. Do capacitors wear out? Mike Stewart in the YouTube chat wants to know, can I get any antenna for a TBS Fusion module? Or am I limited to a specific type? Mike, any 5 gigahertz, 5.8 gigahertz antenna. You also need to have the correct connector. It's either SMA or RPSMA. I think Fusion has SMA, like I'm 99% sure. So you need it to have an SMA connector, and it needs to be a 5 gigahertz, 5.8 gigahertz antenna. You probably want omnidirectional. Check out fpvknowitall.com, my website, which has some links to antennas you might choose. Island 16, thank you for a $10 super chat. My quad's front right motor sags. I tried a new motor, and I think I figured out it was the ESC. The manufacturer sent a new ESC, same issue. Crap. Crap. Well, at least you got a free ESC out of it, so that's nice. I hate this situation. You did everything right. When you say the front motor sags, I'm going to assume what you mean. Ooh, look how pretty this build is. Ooh, boy. Evan Turner sure knows how to make a frame. And I sure know how to ruin it with red electrical tape. Whee! Red electrical tape. Well, there we go. I assume what you mean is that when you punch the throttle, one arm dips down, right? 99% of the time, maybe not 99, a lot of the time, that is a bad FET, a blown, like you've got 3 FETs on the motor output and one of them is blown. Well, it would be 6 FETs, I think. Not 3, but one of the FETs is blown. So one of your phases is not firing. The motor's getting basically 2/3 of its power. But if you replace the ESC, that's not the problem. So you replace the motor, you replace the ESC. What else could cause an arm to dip like that? I really don't think it's the flight controller. I just think that's so... I can't think of how the flight controller would cause one arm to dip. Most of the time, when an ESC or a motor has a problem, the quad will move diagonally, assuming you have an X layout, obviously. Because the ESC or motor sags or something, and it dips that arm. Most of the time when the flight controller has a problem, it will move along the pitch, roll, or yaw axis, not diagonally. So if you have a tuning issue, you might get oscillation on the pitch axis, but you're probably not going to get diagonal oscillation unless maybe you had some pitch roll coupling. It's not a perfect science. You replace the motor, you replace the ESC. What next? Did you do something? Like, are your motor screws too long and they're touching the windings and now you've ruined 2 motors? I mean, did you replace the wires? Could the wires be messed up? We're really in the realm of the esoteric now, because most of the time it's either the motor or the ESC. I doubt it's the signal I doubt it's the signal between the flight controller and the ESC. Like, I just don't know how that could cause the motor to sag only when you, like, punch the throttle. Man. Dodgy gyro. Best way... Okay. I don't have a great answer for you there, man. We're in the realm of the esoteric. There are some suggestions in the chat. Thin wire, bad solder. Yeah, we have to look for whatever is in common. So you ruled out the motor and you ruled out the ESC. We have to now look at what else is in common. And it's pretty esoteric. Check your wiring. You could replace the flight controller. I mean, hey, why not? Cole Abbott wants to know what's the best way to clean a soldering iron tip. A brass sponge. Don't use steel wool or anything abrasive. A brass sponge. Could the signal from the flight controller to the ESC cause the problem? See, here's the reason I'm not leaning that direction, although, like I said, we're in the realm of the esoteric and it could be anything. If the signal between the flight controller and the ESC drops out, most of the time you'll get a dip. The arm will dip or you'll death roll. But he said the front right motor sags. And to me, I mean, we don't know, but to me, it doesn't feel like the kind of stutter. If you had, like, your signal dropping, plus you would probably hear doot, perhaps. Maybe the ESC would reinitialize. I think you would kind of get a if you were getting, like, corrupted data. Most of the time, though, if your ESC signal is corrupted, you don't know. Like, let's say that 25% of the data between the flight controller and the ESC is corrupted. The quad still flies. You probably don't know. I mean, maybe you could feel that something's off, but on average, enough packets get through that the quad still flies. Island says, yeah, when I punch, it just drops. It won't stay level. Like, you did the right thing, and I don't have a great answer for where to go from here. Chris FPV says if he isn't on D-Shot, maybe he needs to calibrate the motors. Island, can we assume you're on D-Shot? Sync Happens suggests you rotate the ESC or flight controller. See if the problem is always the right front motor. I mean, he swapped them. So, I mean, I feel like we've accomplished that. Iric points out that if you're using bidirectional D-Shot, you'd see the errors in Betaflight. That's one of my favorite things about bidirectional D-Shot. Iric Toft in the Discord is the ability to see that error percent and know whether you're, because like I said, you could have a fairly high error percent and never notice while flying, except that maybe it just doesn't feel right, but you don't know why. With bidirectional D-Shot, you'll know if there's an error percent. It's great. ESC grounding out on the frame plate. Yeah, FPV Arborist, you're moving the right direction. There's something about this build that's causing this problem. And whatever it is persisted across 2 motors and 2 ESCs. So you got to really dig into things like that. All right, let's move on. Doom Rider FPV, thanks for a $5 super chat. Bardwell, you're the coolest nerd I know. The haters can all suck it. Thank you for everything. You help us more than you'll ever know. Thank you very much for the kind words and the super chat, Doom Rider. Did you hear? Did you hear, Mother? Doom Rider thinks I'm cool. Got some Norman Bates vibes there. Ken Piper, thanks for a $5 super chat. Oh crap, my phone auto-played to the current live stream. I was thinking this was a previous one. Welcome to the super chat. Welcome to the live stream. Matthias Vidal, thank you for 5,000 CLP. Thank you for all the information you post. I have a Nazgul V2, but I would like to build a different 5-inch with some spares. What durable frame from Banggood can you recommend? Alrighty, I'm going to get myself in trouble here. It's going to be a clone of somebody else's frame, and everyone's going to hate me. Oh my God. What's a good frame on Banggood that's durable and that isn't just a blatant ripoff of someone else's frame? Chat, help me out. Like, if I wanted an inexpensive frame, I would get the TBS Source 1. I would get the TBS Source 1. But it's not sold on Banggood. Does Iflight sell frames on here? Like, let's try. Yeah, okay. So, like, what about the Iflight Nazgul? What about the Iflight Nazgul? It's available on Banggood. It's a solid frame. How about that? How about the Martian? The Martian frame. Oh, the Martian is kind of dated. The Alien's kind of dated. A lot of people flew this frame. Look how we used to design quadcopter frames. Look at those fat arms. And I do not mean pretty hot and tempting. A lot of people used to build on the Martian. There's rip-offs of all kinds of frames. Here's, oh my God. Look at this, the Dragon. Wow. Total rip-off. I'm not sure. Gepar C Mark IV. There you go. Now we're getting somewhere. Gepar C Mark IV. Is it not sold? I don't think it's sold on Banggood. Oh my goodness. He said Banggood. I don't know. He asked. It's his super chat. He said, "What durable frame on Banggood do you recommend?" It's his super chat. He asked. Mark IV. Did they not sell that on Banggood? I guess not. There you go. I mean, why not the Iflight frame? That's probably what I would buy. It's inexpensive, it's reasonably durable, and it's not cloning or ripping anybody off, so you can feel good about yourself. It's a pretty solid frame. All right, there you go. Mark IV. Oh, is it? I see. Hang on, let me try. Oh, there you go. easy mistake. GEPRC Mark IV 7-inch frame kit. Wait, what about the 5-inch? Oh, I see. Pick a size. Yeah, this is a really nice frame. The GEPRC Mark IV. Is it durable? He asked for durable. I feel like the Mark IV is not durable, but maybe not quite as durable as a frame with a little thicker arms. So he asks for durable. It's a good frame though. Okay. Check out the Triton by Jack's 3D Printing. Todd Tube, thank you for the $5 super chat. Todd Tube wants the specs on that quad you keep holding up. This quad? This is my race build. I'm going to be a racer now, Mom. Mom's going to be proud of me. This is the 533 switchback Evan Turner's frame with 533 motors. It is a Redux Air ESC. Good luck finding it. It's an Acon F7 flight controller, 20 millimeter, and it is a Ghost, an Immersion RC Ghost hybrid VTXN receiver. I'm going to be putting up a video about this maybe tomorrow if it gets edited quickly enough. Maybe Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. I was not flying that in Knoxville beep tube. I had not built it yet. I'm super excited about it. So I'll tell you a little story. Redux Air ESCs. You guys need to get these guys on your radar. Redux Air. These guys make ESCs. Racers that have tested. Top racers. Who? I don't know. I'm not going to name it. I think it was either Vanover or Evan who was flying it. I can't remember which of the two. I think it was Vanover. Many top racers have tested these ESCs and said they're amazing. It excites me because it is a 20 millimeter mount, but it uses full size FETs. So you're essentially, and they've done a whole bunch of other performance enhancements to improve performance and durability. Vanover said he felt like he was 7 miles an hour faster in the straights on this ESC. I don't know how he possibly knows that, but this is a badass ESC. By all accounts, I've never flown one, but the fact that it has full-size FETs on a 20 millimeter mount was enough for me because I am so GD tired of blowing 20 millimeter ESCs when I try to turtle mode in the grass. Every time I try to turtle mode, I blow it. I blew one hitting a gate. I blew one turtle moding. And I was like, what is the most durable ESC in the freaking world? So I reached out to the owner of Redux Air, and I was like, dude, what do I have to do to get one of your ESCs? Because you can't find them anywhere. And he was like, well, I have like 2 that I can send you, but there won't be another batch of them for a couple months because I can't source FETs. No global chip shortage. And I said, okay. So then this guy reaches out to me, and he says, hey, I've got a store. I've got a store selling FPV parts, a small store, whatever, run it out of my garage. And he says, what do I have to do to get you to promote my store? And I said, well, I mean, I basically, I would need to know like that you were taking care of your customers and not ripping people off, and before I did anything with you. And it's like, so it's just, I'm just gonna have to keep an eye on you but then I looked at his store. I was like, what's this guy doing? What's he selling? And he had stock of the Redux Air ESCs. He had bought some of them. And since he's such a small store, nobody had heard of him and nobody had bought them. And I was like, oh. So I immediately bought like 3 of them. And then I told everybody on my Discord, hey, if you want Redux Air ESCs, this no-name store you've never heard of has stock of them. And they went and bought them all. And so basically you can't have them for another couple months. But when they're available, you should definitely keep your eyes out. 20 millimeter Mike Bergman. Everybody's suggesting ESCs. 20 millimeter mount though. This frame doesn't take a 30 millimeter. There's tons of decent 30 millimeter ESCs out there. 20 millimeter ESCs, they're all trash to me. On 5-inch. They're on 5-inch. Like the Acon. The Acon 20 millimeter ESC with the heatsink. I have that in my Catalyst Machine Works Shocker 4-inch. It's fine. It's been great. But whenever I try to do 5-inch racing on a 20 millimeter ESC, it blows. So maybe I'm just too hard on it. Anyway. But I have not had great results with Z's ESCs AA. I had a Z's 30 millimeter ESC in one build and a Z's 20 millimeter in another build. Both of them died. That's only a sample size of 2, but it is 100% of my Z's ESCs have died. The Mamba 20 millimeter 75 amp ESC. Let's look at that one. Diatone Mamba race. I was trying to think of other ones. Yeah. Does it have full-size FETs? We can't know. We can't know. Yeah, this is a clever build. They haven't put mounting holes in it to let them use bigger FETs. $75. Jeez. Oh. Somebody's given me a link to a store for people in the EU. All right, I'm going to paste this in the chat. I don't know this store, but somebody found this Redux Air ESC in an EU store. Is that? I don't know if that's the exact one that I got. It looks slightly different, but anyway, it's the underside, I guess. Yeah, 46 pounds. Yeah, Acon widely regarded to be one of the best, but I really wanted those full-size FETs, and I really wanted to try this new fancy schmancy. Like, it's completely wasted on me. Like, what am I going to do with it? Win races? Lol. Anyway. What's the weight and motor kV of the quad? 2207 motor. It's the 533 motor. I don't know what the specs are on it. The weight of the quad, I don't know off the top of my head. Probably around 400. Let's see. 2207 motor. Doesn't say the kV. 1960 kV. 28 grams for the motor. Pretty impressive. Mike Bergman, I think you're joking about ProShot 1000. Newbie Drone makes a nice 20 by... A lot of people make a decent 20 by 20 stack. I just wanted something that was as bulletproof as it could be. Ives, thank you for a $5 super chat. It says follow up. Where'd you post before, Ives? Ives says follow up. I pulled the camera apart, reseated. Oh, about the air unit. Reseated all the cables. The camera is fixed. Yay! I didn't think it was broken. Heart of America FPV. Oh, Heart of America FPV. Thank you for a $5 super chat. Would love to see you at a Freedom Spec race this season. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about Freedom Spec. I am the biggest freaking fan of spec racing. It's one of the reasons why I think Tiny Whoop racing is so cool. Granted, Tiny Whoop racing isn't spec racing, but like it's kind of spec racing because you got to be flying a Tiny Whoop, and that limits you somewhat. I think spec racing is so cool because it allows pilot skill to dominate. Okay. But the problem with spec racing, like MultiGP did a spec race league some years back, and you had to buy one of these two frames, these two flight controllers, these two ESCs, these two motors. The whole thing was spec'd, and a lot of people were like, I don't want to buy that stuff. I don't want to be stuck with this quadcopter just to race your series that isn't the gear that I want to run. So what Evan and Armando have done with Freedom Spec is, my understanding, if I got this right, the only requirement is that you run their motor. And their thinking, I guess, is that the motor is kind of the dominant thing in spec racing that determines sort of the power of the quads. So if you let people fly whatever frame, flight controller, ESC they want, prop, but you got to run the 533 motor, it sort of levels the playing field, but it still gives people the liberty to run the gear that they usually run. You just need to buy their motors. And here's the kicker. You run them on 3S. You take a 1950 kV motor and you run it on 3S. And to me, this is freaking brilliant. It reminds me of like Miata class car racing. We're going to take everybody and we're going to put them in a slow, underpowered car so that you can't just screw up a turn and just hit the gas and power out of it. And we're going to force you to focus on technique. And the beauty of it is you can take this exact quad, you fly it in a Freedom spec race on 3S, then you take it to a regular multi-GP race and you run it on 6S. Pretty slick. TJ McKinnon says you also have to run their props. Fair enough. Yeah, it's pretty slick. Evan flew 3S at the global qualifier track at the race we did a couple weekends ago, and he was still faster than me. So maybe you'll see me at a race. Maybe. TD Boots, thanks for a $5 super chat. I was looking at the Nazgul 5. It seems pretty solid for a bind and fly 5-inch. Do you have any other recommendations or a build, maybe? In terms of bind and flies, the Nazgul 5 is really solid. The Diatone Roma 5, also pretty solid. The Roma 5 V2 is coming out with upgraded, more durable arms. I think they're also upgrading the video transmitter. One of the things I didn't like about the Roma was that it had a 400 milliwatt video transmitter, which I think is pretty marginal for freestyle. I think around 600 is the minimum I would like to see. The Gep RC Mark IV is a really good bind and fly, but all of them are pretty solid. As far as the build, I have, over on GetFPV, I have the Xylo Freestyle Beginner Drone Bundle. There's both an HD DJI version and a regular analog version. And you can even buy it pre-built if you prefer, but that sort of defeats the point, in my humble opinion. And it's got a full build tutorial by me from all the steps. So if you want, I think it's a great way to start building a quadcopter. Build your first quadcopter. Charles Garady, going back to his question about Crossfire telemetry. Thanks for another $7 super chat. Charles, Crossfire telemetry is working, just not RxBat. Damn it. Could it be a Betaflight bug? Unlikely. Unlikely. Again, Charles, I don't want to sound like I'm trolling you for another super chat. If you email me and let's talk about this, or DM me on Facebook. You say Crossfire telemetry is working, but do you see like ACCX, ACCY, ACCZ? Do you see the actual flight controller stuff, not just the Crossfire stuff? The only other thing, I don't know why the RxBat sensor would just disappear. There's a Crossfire option that changes whether RxBat is the receiver voltage or the flight controller voltage, but I don't know why it would just disappear. You may have to reach out to TBS support. Whenever I've got a question like this that I'm stuck on, and I just don't know what to say, I ask myself, what would I do if this was me? I would flash the Crossfire system to a different firmware. Go into TBS Agent X. If you're not on the latest, go to the latest. If you are on the latest, go back one and see if that works. Mr. Stubbs, thank you for a $5 super chat. Todd Tube, we got you. Yeah, we're caught up on the super chats. Fantastic. Oh, shoot. Hang on. I talked about spec racing, Mazda spec racing, Miata spec racing. Oh, man. I gotta autocross someday. Ciati, let's do it. Let's make it happen, dude. I gotta autocross. I would have so much fun doing that. Let's see here. Waiting for the next question. Another 661 FPV is the biggest R9 fan on my channel. Another reason R9 is simpler than Crossfire. How many different firmware versions are there for Crossfire? 661 FPV, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. In my humble opinion. Because it is completely trivial and transparent to update Crossfire firmware. So, FreeSky, there's like 4, maybe 6 different versions of the firmware. If you count Access, ACCST, Flex, then you've got the non-Flex firmware, which nobody should be using, but it's still out there. So let's say there's 4 or 6 different versions of the firmware. The problem is that you have to figure out what's on your module and what's on your receiver and make them match. Now, okay, no problem. Just download it and flash it. Oh, fine. With Crossfire, there might be 50 different versions of the firmware, but all you have to do is flash your module. And then the module will just update the receiver at binding time over the air. So it doesn't matter that they have a zillion different firmware versions. Doesn't matter because it never stops you from binding. I have showed up at the flight field with a quadcopter. I pull the quadcopter out, turn on my radio, Crossfire won't bind. Oh, I updated my firmware on my module and I didn't update this quad. At this point, if I'm running FreeSky, I am screwed. Unless I brought a laptop to the field and I'm going to flash my firmware in the field. But if I'm running Crossfire, all I do is plug in, hit the bind button on the receiver, hit the bind button on the module. 2 minutes later, the firmware is updated and I'm ready to fly. FCC or EU, that's really it. No. What about Flex? What about ACCST? What about Access? I can flash both ACCST and Access firmware to the same R9 module. I can decide. And when I buy an R9 receiver, did it come with Access or ACCST on it? I don't know. You just never need to update R9. Oh, is that so? You never need to update it. No, you just buy it and it binds and you're good to go. My email inbox says otherwise. I mean, respectfully, 661 FPV, I disagree. Well, we're talking about R9 mouse FPV. I don't think the ACCST 1 versus 2, does that affect R9? Maybe it does. We'd have to just go look. Let's go look. Let's go look. Let's look. Let's find out. FreeSky R9. Let's see. Download. Go to the download page. All right, so here we go. We've got Access firmware and we've got ACCST firmware. We got firmware 1902. That doesn't look like there's a 2.1. And then we got firmware 1.2, 1.3, and 1.3.1 for Access. But, yeah. So, and then if we download that, let's download it. Compact Disco says you only need to update the firmware on R9 once to express LRS. Oh, man. All right, let's go in here. All right, so we've got Flex, FCC, and LBT. Now, obviously, Flex is what most people should be running. But the claim that, oh, it's just one difference. No, it isn't. We've already got Access and ACCST. And then among those, we've got FCC Flex and R9. Which of those is the right one for you? I mean, you might know the answer, but a lot of people struggle with it. With Crossfire, it just doesn't freaking matter. With Ghost, it just doesn't freaking matter. As soon as you bind, and Express LRS, same deal. But with Ghost and Crossfire and Tracer, as soon as you bind, they're just like, I got this. And they download the firmware. You never need to think about it again. Moving on. Jason McIntosh says, JB, do you know why the TBS Crossfire 2 controller has such a long production delay? Jason, I heard that they were having trouble sourcing the screen, that the Tango 2, I thought somebody said that they announced on the TBS live stream that they had just gotten their shipment through customs and would be shipping in the next, 1 week. That's what I thought I heard. If you're trying to get a Tango 2, keep your eye out really closely on the TBS store. Archimedes has given me a link to the TBS couch. Yeah. So what did they say, Archimedes? Remind me. I thought they said that they started shipping last week, but they still show as pre-order on the TBS store. They still show as pre-order is the thing that confuses me. Search. Tango. Yeah, so they said on the couch that they were shipping last week. Maybe they're shipping to dealers, but why would they not put it in stock on their own store? So I'm kind of confused about that. They started shipping pre-orders first. Oh, geez. So you're saying, Archimedes, that they're so backed up on pre-orders that they didn't put any into the store. Yikes. Ouch. Well, there you go. Stray Dog FPV says, is R9 the only module that allows Express LRS firmware install? So Express LRS can run on a whole bunch of different hardware. Sometimes people buy a kit and solder up their own hardware. Sometimes people flash it to FreeSky. You can, as of just a couple weeks ago, you can buy R9 receivers and modules pre-flashed from Happy Model, and that is probably the easiest way to get into it. That's on Banggood right now. Andy Clark, thanks for a $5 super chat. Is nano a standard size of receiver? No. It's not. There is no such thing as a standard size of receiver. So, yeah, nano is just a designator. It doesn't mean anything. It's not standard. Robert Rempel's here just in time for the last half hour. Good to have you, Robert. Jeff Schubert says, I had a Vaz Minion Pro. I crashed in the grass and lost the cap. It's junk without it now. Yeah, Jeff, I feel like the Vaz Ion and the Vaz Minion antenna, let's put those up on screen. I feel like they are great goggle antennas. They might be okay for a wing. I wouldn't use them on a quad. I don't think they're durable enough. This plastic cap that they use, I don't think it's durable enough. It's not foam filled like some of the other antennas are. And I don't think it's durable enough for FPV, like racing and freestyle. It says it's perfect for long-range racing and freestyle. I don't agree. High-strength plastic, maximum performance and durability. Don't agree. I just don't agree. It's a great antenna. I wouldn't put it on a quad. How's the Lollipop antenna performance? Asks Shadow Walker. Lollipops are okay. They're cheap. I don't know of any specific problems with them. Because they're inexpensive, I would assume that they're not at the same level of QC as some of the more expensive antennas. But they're pretty solid. Crossfire is just a hype train. 661 FPV. You just talking out your butt right now. Crossfire is just a hype train. Free Sky R9. That's the truth. That's the true way. Crossfire is just a hype train. Yeah, sure thing. License to Drive is very disappointed with the Lollipop for durability. They break internally too easily, he says. I put heat shrink over another vase. Will that help? I mean, you have to put the cap back on. It's just a hype train, you guys. Let's list some other things that are hype trains. Digital cameras. Just a hype train. Electric cars. Hype train. Yeah. Michael Hill, thank you for a $10 super chat. Thanks for the continued help in Discord with the Xylobuild. My pleasure, Michael. Woo! Excuse me. FPV Phil, thanks for a $5 super chat. Being alive is a hype train. GoPro is definitely a hype train. Jason McIntosh says, I'm doing a 50-mile DJI FPV flight. Any recommendations for settings before flight? Jason McIntosh, if you're talking about the DJI Air Unit or the Caddx Vista, you are not going 50 miles. They have a hard limit due to some internal aspect of the protocol around, I think it's 6 kilometers on 25 megabit per second mode or 12 kilometers on 50 megabit per second mode. If you mean the DJI FPV drone, I don't know if anybody has yet discovered the hard limit on that one, but presumably it's there because OcuSync 3 has extremely low latency, and in order to achieve that, they have to have that. It feels like they have to have that limit. Excuse me. They say, I think 10 miles is what they say for the DJI FPV drone. Getting 50 out. I mean, I'm not sure that it can do that, no matter what antennas you choose to use. Tanner D says, can I get more range on the Caddx Vista or analog on 800 milliwatts? And you haven't done the 1200 milliwatt hack on the Vista. Well, you should. There's no question in my mind that 1200 milliwatts on the Vista is going to give you more usable range than 800 milliwatts on analog. If it's equal milliwatts, I'm not sure about that. I feel like the range of DJI and analog is pretty similar if they're at the same output power. But analog's going to go to static, and DJI is going to get blocky and stuttery. So I'm not sure. That's kind of a question of pick your poison. But just put the Vista on 1200 milliwatts, and then it wins for sure. Ernesto Linares, thank you for a $5 super chat. I just got a 12-volt Iflight regulator. Is it better to solder a 5-volt regulator on the FC? Or solder straight to the battery lead? You can't power a 12-volt regulator off a 5-volt regulator. I mean, unless because I'm assuming it's a step-down regulator, not a buck boost regulator. You would power the 12-volt regulator from the battery lead. That's the answer. Mad Max FPV thinks DJI kicks analog butt on range and penetration. Just depends on where your line is, where you're like, this is too bad. I have to turn around. Why is range such a concern for most people? 99% of people won't ever get close to it, says Dingles. I mean, it depends, Dingles. I mean, when you see somebody talking about, oh, such and such a protocol can go 50 kilometers. Yeah, you're right. 99.99% of people will never do that. But 50 kilometers range in the open air might be 3 concrete walls at a bando, at which point you do care. So I think most people who are concerned with range are thinking more about penetration in an obstacle environment. And that's the thing. Eric Allen FPV, you are 100% right. As far as RF performance goes, range and penetration are the same thing. There are a few exceptions where a specific frequency is very susceptible to attenuation by a specific material. For example, 2.4 gigahertz is very attenuated by water. So you could have a situation where a 2.4 gigahertz signal will specifically do worse passing through water compared to something else. But in general, anything that gives you more range also gives you more penetration. Big Data Pimp says range does not necessarily mean penetration. I respectfully, I disagree. Let's talk about what I used to do for a living. I used to do Wi-Fi network designs. And one of the tools that we used was a CAD program. What you would do is you would import your floor plan into CAD. And then you would designate each wall the material type of the wall that it was. So this wall is drywall. This wall is cinder block. This wall, right? You would go through and you would do that. And each of those materials had an attenuation value that had been derived in a lab by testing these materials. This company had done this. So a single sheet of drywall was, I don't even remember, maybe it was 3 dB of loss. A solid concrete wall was 15 dB of loss, etc. Now here's why that's relevant. If you say, I've got a signal and it traveled 10 miles, if you know the wavelength of that signal, you can calculate how many dB of loss you lost. Okay? It's called a path loss calculation. And because path loss and penetration are both measured in dB, and those numbers work in real life. Like, we designed whole wireless networks around this idea that a concrete wall was 15 dB, etc. That means that penetration and absorption in most cases are exactly the same thing. If you get 15 dB more range in open space, you will also get 15 dB more penetration through a wall. There are some exceptions. For example, 60 gigahertz, we don't use that, but 60 gigahertz, there's an oxygen absorption peak in the air. And in an oxygenated environment, which our atmosphere is, you get much, much less range, right? Like I said, 2.4 gigahertz is specifically absorbed by water, right? So there are cases where you will get differences in penetration versus range in open space. But in general, range in open space, more range in open space equals more penetration. It doesn't seem that way. Like, let's imagine that a concrete wall is 15 dB of attenuation. Well, let's say I've got one device that is 10 dB stronger than another. Well, potentially neither of them are going to get through that wall, right? Even though one is 10 dB stronger, they're both going to stop at that wall. Whereas if you were in open space, that every extra dB of range you get adds more range to you. So there are cases where it can seem like two things have differences in penetration, but it's not true. Alrighty. Yeah, the oxygen absorption at 60 gig, Rob Schlicht, that's actually used as a feature. So if my memory is correct, 60 gig is eligible for what they call light licensing. What it means is you go to the FCC and you apply for a license, but you don't have exclusive use of the band. You just need to get permission to put your 60 gig system up. And 60 gig is often used for point-to-point. I think it's up to maybe 2 kilometers. It's very short range because of the oxygen absorption. But the advantage is that you can have a lot of 60 gig transmitters in an area and they won't interfere with each other because the oxygen absorption knocks their range down to such a small number. So 60 gig is pretty interesting. 60 gig is also fantastic for indoor use. We're totally not talking about FPV anymore. 60 gig, it doesn't penetrate through walls really hardly at all. Ultra high frequency doesn't penetrate really well. And so you can have a 60 gig transmitter in one room of your house and another room, and they won't interfere. It's pretty slick. Anyway. 5G does use 60 gig. It uses other frequencies as well, but it does use 60 gig. Yeah. Devin Polson, thank you for a $5 super chat. JT MacGyver FPV says, my throttle endpoint is maxed out at 1883 microseconds. What's the CLI command to make 1883 equal to 2000? The answer is RX range. Why does just the throttle stop at 1883 though, JT? Is your trim centered? JT MacGyver. The command you want is RX range. All right. Is 900 megahertz pretty much the lowest we can go? Asks Dingles. Dingles, there are 400 megahertz, 433 megahertz control systems. Dragon Link is one of them. But 900 megahertz, even 900 megahertz, people are moving away from because it's very narrow. And 2.4 gig is where a lot of it seems like 2.4 gig is where the future is going to be at. Jason McIntosh, I don't know any way to hack the DJI battery to get more flight time by having two batteries connected at the same time. The DJI drone has a digital connection. I think it's CAN bus is the protocol. It has a digital connection to the battery. It talks to the battery. So I think you would be hard pressed to like fake out the drone by having two batteries connected. BeepTube points out people used to fly 72 megahertz. Yeah, no, yeah, obviously. I was talking about digital systems. JT MacGyver, what about going back to your throttle? Have you rerun calibration? Maybe your calibration is screwed up. People still fly 72 megahertz. No, I don't believe it. Sync happens. That can't be true. Mike Bergman wants to know if I've flown my DJI FPV drone much lately. No. Nah. I believe you can mod a Mavic battery. What do we got here? Like, what you would have to do is you would have to build a parallel adapter for the battery. If you were to do that, it would be fine. You would just only hook one, like I think it's like the outside two prongs are plus and minus, and the inside two prongs are digital. I don't know. But you have to figure out which are the actual power prongs and then put it in parallel. But the thing is, the second battery wouldn't turn on, would it? The second battery would have to be just a generic LiPo wired in parallel to the DJI battery. Why? Why? Just, yeah, I don't know. Is dynamic power on TBS Crossfire for a freestyle quad so bad versus with its off? Asks 10 Fantic. 10 Fantic, it used to be that dynamic power on Crossfire had the potential to cause failsafes. That hasn't been true for a long time. Nevertheless, out of habit, I run fixed power. I probably don't need to. I'll bet you that guys who look at black box, like UAV Tech, I'll bet you they see disruptions in the RC command trace when dynamic power changes power. How long is the back order for the Xylo 5-inch freestyle drone bundle, Jimmy Jams? I don't know, Jimmy. It's never going to be in stock. You just have to put in a pre-order and wait. That's just the way things are right now. I'm sorry to say. We're at 10 minutes from the end of the stream. I want to let you know that after I get off the air at 10 p.m., Aaron Ciotti is going to be streaming on his channel, and he is going to start posting a link to his stream. So if you want to keep the party going late into the night, then definitely check that out after I get off the air. Ty McBroom, thank you for a $10 super chat. They've been upping the wattage on the Tango 2. Do you think they will ever push it past 1 watt? I don't think so, Ty. I think if they could have pushed it past 1 watt, they would have. I think that they are already at the max of what the amplifier can do. That's just my read on what they've said. But, I mean, who knows? But I don't think so. Maxim FPV, thanks for a $5 super chat. Looking forward to Rampage. It's going to be great. Keep up the great content. Thank you, Maxim. Devin Polson, got you for $5. Message retracted, but thank you, Devin. Is the Iflight Sedora V2 2.1 HD with the air unit worth the money? Aircon, the Iflight Sedora and the Iflight Nazgul are some of the best value in bind and fly freestyle quads. Personally, I would take the Nazgul V2 with the Vista. I don't think the weight of the air unit is worth it. That's my personal preference. But if you feel like the air unit's what you want, yeah, that's a great way to spend your money. Daniel Navarro, thanks for a $5 super chat. You've mentioned iNav was easier to use with fixed wings than Betaflight. How so? The way that iNav is easier is, like, if you set up Betaflight with a fixed wing, you have to figure out your servo outputs. Where do you wire the servos? And that is usually a hassle because it's not well documented, because nobody is using Betaflight with fixed wings. Not nobody, but you know what I mean. With iNav, all of the flight controllers are sort of designed with fixed wings in mind, and there's good documentation of where to put the servos. So, like, put the aileron here, put the other aileron there, etc. Or the iNav configurator makes it relatively easy to assign that stuff. So that's the main way I think iNav is easier to use with fixed wings. In addition, iNav has flight modes specifically designed for fixed wings, like launch mode, for example. And Betaflight just doesn't have any of those things. Why is my Crossfire weaker than my DJI? Asks Devin Polson. Because your antenna's broken. There's no other good reason for it. I don't know. You've got it set up wrong. Crossfire should have more range than DJI. Ty McBroom wants to know what I think of the new Outlaw from Rotor Riot. Ty, I'm not going to talk about that now because the stream is almost over, but we did talk about the Outlaw in yesterday's live stream, which is up on my channel. So I talked about the Outlaw versus the 250 from Tommy Tabahia. So you can definitely check out yesterday's live stream to see that. Where? It's a 2-hour stream. I don't have a timestamp for you. Sorry. What is happening in the Discord server? What are you guys doing? Look, what are the patrons in the Discord server doing? You guys are you're losing it. 5 minutes to the end of the stream. Again, Aaron Ciotti is going to be streaming over on his channel. He's going to post the link over. Has he posted the link yet? Yeah, he's posted the link. Going to be doing his Q&A. It's kind of like my Q&A, but with more swearing. Less drinking and more swearing. Am I right? That's about right. Thank you guys for coming out. We will be doing the news, the FPV news, with me and It's Blunty tomorrow at 6 p.m. on the stream. Mike Bergman wants to remind you guys to hit the like button. It does matter. YouTube does care. And he says he doesn't curse that much anymore. Yeah, he's reined it in. Oh, you mean you're already selling out? Is that what you're saying? Bubby wants me to do a 24-hour stream. There's not enough Adderall in the world. Ciotti, for someone who's selling out, you'd expect to be making more money, wouldn't you? All right, guys, we're going to wrap up here. We've got about 4 minutes left. I'm still looking for other questions, but the Discord is just memeing themselves to death. True Gent, thanks for a $5 super chat. What would be a good battery for the Babyhawk 2 HD, trying to keep it under 250 grams while carrying an Insta360 Go or a naked GoPro? What battery, let me remind myself what battery the Babyhawk 2 HD comes with or is recommended to come with. To keep it under 250 gram with a naked GoPro? That's not possible. I don't think that's possible. What's the dry weight of this guy? Weight without battery, 141 grams. What's a naked GoPro weigh? No, shut up. 17, maybe it's 25 grams with a case. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. So we're at let's say we're at 165 grams. Let's say we're at around 165. That gives us 85 grams for a battery. That's respectable. 85 grams with a battery. What battery do they recommend? It doesn't say. For real? What battery do they recommend? 3700 kV. Yeah. 3S80C. 550 mAh. What's that weigh? 44 grams. Oh, you got plenty of room. You could get an 850. Is it a 3S or 4S? It's a 4S. $850 mAh 4S 75C 101 grams. That's too much. Damn it. Ciotti says that low of a KV really needs 5S. That's not going to happen. 850 is too heavy. It's around 100 grams. We got to be around 80 grams. I know it's a shame there's not like a 600. I don't think there is, though. 4S 850. 850 is going to be too heavy, in my opinion. Here's a 5S. Here's a 600 mAh 5S. Out of stock. What's that weigh? What's it weigh? What's it weigh? Not gonna say. 4S 650. I don't. You gonna let's see if we can find that. Ooh, out of stock. Weight 82 grams. Okay, so it looks like you're looking at around a 4S 650. Maybe a Tattoo R-Line 4S 650 is the best there is for that rig. Funny you mentioned that, Ciati. That's the one I landed on. Okay, so it feels like you're going to be right at 250 with a naked GoPro and a 4S 650 mAh. That's where you're going to want to be. And that brings us to the end of the stream. It is 10 p.m. We're going to wrap up here. Ciati, have a great stream, my friend. And if you guys want more questions about micros, Ciati is definitely the guy to ask. I will see you guys tomorrow at 6 p.m. and throughout the week on my channel. Goodbye, everybody in the chat. Goodbye, patrons. Thanks to you all for watching. And I am out of here. Bye, everybody.